Juggalos and Juggalettes, this is your big homie Big Ian coming at you live and direct from FagoLovers.net once again with the freshest interviews in the underground. Today I'm sitting down with the one and only DJ Fillin. Everyone is very familiar with DJ Fillin with his work over the years with Psychopathic, Fuck Off Radio, and then more recently Psychopathic Radio. Now Fillin, the main thing I wanted to ask you is, in the last couple weeks ago, you announced via your Facebook that you had left Psychopathic. And there have been a lot of questions swirling around in the underground since then. Everybody wanting to know why, what was the story, why you left. So I'm going to hand the floor over to you. And can you just kind of fill in everybody who wants to know about what happened between you and Psychopathic?
Hell yes. I love how you said fill in everybody. That worked out nice.
Yeah, indeed.
What's going on, Ian?
I'm pretty good, Fillin. How are you?
I ain't seen you in over a month, playa.
It's been a long-ass time, man. I was in Detroit trying to link up, man.
I know. It is what it is. Super extremely busy schedules and whatnot. But I'm glad I could sit down with you now. This is great.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, yes, you left off with a question. Why did I leave Psychopathic? Well, first of all, hello to everybody listening. Yes, I like to start that as if we're all having a conversation together. But leaving Psychopathic, why I left is, in the past year, we switched over in January to Psychopathic Radio from Fuck Off. And there's always been different managers always along that try to run the radio station as best they can, with obviously juggling as many other jobs as they have at Psychopathic, because, each person has about 50 jobs. There's no one just graphics guy or one just video guy. There's, like a guy who does 50 things, another guy who does 50 things, another guy who does 49 things because he's tired, So with that being said, when we switched over to Psychopathic Radio, we went under some new management, whereas always I was kind of, I'll say the backbone of it, of the radio station. And, we switched over in January to Psychopathic Radio. We finally went live with video, Ian. Finally. It happened.
After much anticipation.
Right. And huge, for years at Fuck Off, I was always pushing for that. I knew what the fans wanted. The fans wanted to see what we were doing in that room. For years, I had seen on Facebooks and Twitters and all of our accounts and all that type of shit that everybody wanted to see what was going on in our room. And why not? We were doing some fucking ultra raw shit. So, so we finally got to that stage in January. We pushed for it. We got to it, and we moved forward with it. I was a little upset when we did. When the building, we moved to a new building and, built a whole new studio and everything. And when we built the studio, I wasn't really involved in much of that. I would have liked a different room and stuff like that. That's neither here nor there, but, so the new studio was built. We were psyched. It was a big deal. And it still is today, with what they're doing over there. And, so we had a good lineup of shows. Everybody was kind of in and down for doing it. And, it was a big thing. And, over the past months, there was a chick running it to begin with. She had a show on there for a little while. That was the Sativa Diva chick. And then, after her, always when they got rid of somebody, manager-wise or somebody running it, it would just fall into my lap. Hey, Phil, and you can run it for a little while till we find somebody else to help you do the damn thing. And, of course, me, I just run the shit. It ain't no big deal. It's kind of in my blood. So, they moved on, and then the next person they lined up to take over the radio was, the JCW champion, Corporal Robinson, which, obviously we don't need to get too much into that. Obviously the guy's a piece of shit, kind of always has been, and by kind of, always has been. And, it was what it was. You're hiring a guy who's been, beat over the head a billion times to run a, multimedia situation. And guys never turn on a computer. So, yeah, not the best route to go for hirings. But hey, it is what it is. Ball was in my court, so we played. But anyway, down the road, obviously that shit happened with him. They aced out Corp. He found a good way to get himself fired for the 792nd time.
I'll say.
And then was out of the picture. And then of course when that was out of the picture, get the the email from Billy Bill. Hey, we're back in the same boat. Would you mind, taking things over and running as usual, scheduling this, that, and the other thing? Of course, no big deal. I got love for the radio more than anybody else. They've been through, shit, 5 or 6 different people trying to run that joint, and you know, it just never worked out. It was always put back on my own plate, which was always, you know, I was always cool with, because, you know, I love doing shit for the Juggalos. You know, I know what they want, and I try to push for that as much as I could, you know. So I guess now that brings us up to date with why I left, at least for the most part. You know, recently they got a new manager. You know, I ain't going to beat around the bush. It's Jump Steady himself, Rob Bruce. And, you know, when he came to the table, I was real excited. You know what I mean? Always happy to work with new people. You never know what kind of ideas they're going to bring to the table, and where they're going to venture with them. And especially when you have somebody like, you know, Rob Bruce stepping in the building. I mean, that's Joe B's brother. You know what I mean? That's the Don Juan's, you know, Encarnacion's fucking, you know, thing. That's a good person to have on your side, you know. So I was pumped, man. I was real pumped when he got moved into the position of running Psychopathic Radio. So, you know, he came into the picture, sat down with us, and, you know, the first day he sat down with me, you know, and I'd met Rob in previous years a bunch of times, and worked with him a couple of times at the gathering and whatnot. But, you know, when I sat down with him, you know, he asked me, he said, you know, Fillin, what's the biggest problem we have with the radio station? And, you know, I told him point blank, I said, well, you know, the biggest problem with the radio station is that, you know, nobody really ever talks to me about what it needs. You know, and not to toot my own horn or anything, but, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, I am the all-consultant of knowing what's good for radio, but, you know, I got a couple college degrees backing what I'm saying, and extreme experience in all realms of mainstream radio, and of course, you know, the blog talks, the underground radios, and this, that, and the other things. So, you know, I knew what our fan base wanted. And, you know, I said the first problem is that, you know, I'm not included enough in this. I need to be in more meetings. We need to have more discussions, and just trust me on some things. You know, I've been around this motherfucker for 6 years. I'm not trying to, you know, bring it south. I'm trying to bring it north. You know what I mean? So, sat down with him. You know, he came up with a plan for Psychopathic Radio. You know, because we have an issue, or at least we did have an issue recently with getting the shows on that we wanted to have on. You know, specifically, you know, Ashtrays and Action Figures, The Coffin, you know, some of our more popular shows that, you know, we were just not getting enough of on the air. And, you know, I sat down with a plan with him, and, you know, I gave him everything I feel that would make the radio station better, as far as what we can do to make money, so that we're not, you know, necessarily advertising or pushing more to the mainstream, because I know we stay away from that as much as we possibly can. At least in my realm, that's how I am, because I think we can do everything we want to do without the help of advertising and everything else. So, you know, I constructed a plan for him. You know, I said, just hear me out on this, you know what I mean? I'm not going to say, you know, I make a motherfucking paycheck here. I don't want to lose that paycheck, so I'm going to make something that I feel is going to work, and I'm going to stand behind it, because I still want to make my motherfucking money and do my job, which is, you know, obviously hosting the radio as much as I can, and doing the fix, and hopping on many shows such as, you know, Fago Lovers Anonymous, and, you know, The Coffin, of course, co-hosted with The Blaze on Coffin, and, you know, and co-hosted with Twisted on Ashtrays and Action Figures, you know, co-hosted with ABK on The Warpath. I mean, you know, numerous shows, Upchuck, everybody's show pretty much, especially in Psychopathic Radio, but, you know, back in W Fuck Off days, of course, with a lot of people, too. You know, which I always say will be the gem of forever is W Fuck Off. But, you know, so he had, Rob and I got together, you know, we had a couple of meetings, just the two of us. You know, and I kept asking him, I said, look, man, you know, the biggest thing is I want to sit down with Billy, I want to sit down with you, I want to sit down with Joe, I want to sit down with everybody, and let's talk this out, let's be grown men. So, you know, gave him my plan and everything, and, you know, I'd like to tell you their plan, but I really can't. You'll have to see it in the future for what they do. But, you know, so anyway, so we sat down, and, you know, I'd been sick a couple of times. You know, I've been real sick this past year, and couldn't respond to a couple of his emails and shit while I was in the hospital. So when I got back out of the hospital and whatnot and sat down with him, he basically had said that the plan I came up with wasn't really feasible, and that they wanted to go in a different direction than what I was proposing. And you know, and then at the same time, going in that different direction from what I was proposing, they also wanted to cut what I was making in half. And, you know, from what it was, you know, when we moved buildings, we moved about, about 30 minutes further away from the main office building in Farmington. And, you know, to cut my pay in half just kind of seemed like, you know, I'm already traveling further. I've been basically running the radio for as long as I can remember, pretty much since the beginning of time, because it always had happened that somebody had gotten let go and then it fell back on me again. You know, it was just kind of a slap in the face that they wanted to cut me, cut my wages in half when, I mean, to be honest, you know, it's McDonald's wages as it is. So, so it's kind of like going and telling the fry guy, like, hey, we want you to keep making as many fries as you're making, but we're not going to even, you know, give you a double cheese when you leave.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it was a big slap in the face, and you know, he wanted to bring me down half of my wages, and he wanted me to go with their plan. You know, I'm not going to say what their plan is, but I'll say that it's complete bullshit. It's garbage. It's fans want at all. And, you know, I couldn't do that. You know, I have way too much love and respect for my own self and for the people that have tuned into us for years. You know, W Fuck Off is a sacred thing to a lot of people, and that's something that I feel real upset that they don't even realize. You know, it was such a thing of its own. You know, like all the blog talks and everything that you see now and whatnot in our underground realm and all that shit, all branched off of W Fuck Off. You know, a bunch of people seen what we were doing and were like, hey, I can do that too, and make it worthwhile and whatnot. And to them, salute. You know, that's awesome. I'm glad more people are out there doing what we're doing, because I think it's a shit. I believe in it, full force. And, you know, they kind of really sucked the life out of what we were doing and what I've been doing for the past 6 years there, when they kind of told me what their new plan was going to be with the radio. So when they told me that my plan was, you know, pretty much whack, which is kind of funny that a guy can come in that's, you know, been out of the picture for 7 so odd years, come in with a plan, no background in radio whatsoever, and tell me that my plan's horrible. It was kind of like, hey, you know, I respect you, but at the same time, fuck you. So, you know, it is what it is. You know, it's hard to sit and be upset at people who've been giving you a check for 6 years, but at the same time, you know, I earned it. So, you know, fuck the dumb shit. I earned that check more than anybody I've ever met. Anybody that works at Psychopathic Records should be making double full what they make, and they more than whatnot do their fair dues. And for somebody to say they wanted to cut my money, and to keep doing the work that I was doing, but do the plan that they had, it wasn't making sense. And I mean, to be honest, I wish I could splurge the whole plan to you. I'm sure you know Big Ian on the side, but
I know
but
nothing.
Let's just say that. Right. Let's just say that you know, to the best to them. You know what I mean? I hope it works out in their favor. But as far as for what the fans want, you know, I'm not gonna fuck them. I know what they want, and I know what they want for years, and that's why I pushed to make it what it is so far. So from here on out, you know, I can't really take any fault for what they're doing. But up until this point, I can say I've had a pretty big hand in most of everything. So. But for I guess all in all, for the reason I left, it's you know, when you work so hard in your life and you've gone through school and and not even just college. I mean, college, yes, of course, you know, 2 bachelor degrees, yes, myself, but you know, and working on a master's right now currently.
In like that, communications and media, something that applies to radio.
Communications and broadcasting arts are both my bachelor degrees, and you know, aside from just the schooling in that, I mean, Psychopathic Records in itself is a school of its own. You know, and I had the best teachers there possibly, you know, could be. You know, with that being Paul, Jamie, and Chris. You know, from the first week that I started working there, I clicked real well with those guys, and you know, they're brothers to me now. And I learned a lot from them. I've learned a lot from ICP as well too. I spent a lot of time with both Joe and Joey on individual small tours and this, that, and the other thing. And you know, if there's one thing that those guys, you know, instilled in me, you know, it's that, you know, give everything that you can to the people that enjoy what you do. And, you know, when they came with their new plan for the radio, it kind of put me in a spot that I really couldn't give everything that I wanted to give anymore. As to where I could give it in some other way. So I guess it just kind of boiled down to to somebody new coming in that was respected, and still have respect for him and whatnot, but somebody new coming in and basically, and I don't want it to be like that situation where somebody comes in and they're stepping on your toes and you just want to leave or whatever. It wasn't anything like that. It was more like, for years upon years upon years, nobody wanted to listen to anything I had to say. Nobody believed in me. And, it was kind of rough because, if you look back in history and W Fuck Off and Psychopathic Radio, as far as numbers go and as far as people listening and tuning in and what people like, again, I don't want to toot my own horn, but people love The Fix. You know what I mean? The Fix is a great show. It's well-structured, and the things that I do on it. And, it was just kind of weird that you wouldn't want to listen to somebody who has done such great things for your station for so many years. And instead go with something different. But, when you butt heads and when you feel like you've given all that you can possibly give in one area, sometimes you just have to move on for the better. You can't always be on the fry later. Sometimes you got to step up and work in the huge restaurant, so who knows.
Okay, so what I'm kind of hearing here, and just correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of want to boil down the core of what I'm hearing you say here. Would it be fair to say that you feel as though from the time you had put in Psychopathic and your knowledge of radio and broadcasting and stuff like that, you feel as though you had earned a shot in more of a leadership role at the radio and weren't given that chance?
Well, I don't want to say just that necessarily. As far as a leadership role, obviously they could have always had me be the guy in charge running things. And I'm going to say it, 80% of the time I was. The other 20% of the time, it was them trying out people who weren't going to work from the get-go. So, there's people that can be conceited and toot their own horns and this, that, and the other thing. I have degrees and stuff to back up what I'm saying. It's not like I'm just some, random kid walking off the street saying, hey, I think this is what you should do with radio. It's like I've been embedded in our demographic, our group of family, if you will, for the past 6 years. It's not like I'm just some random guy. I've always been for the company and always wanted to do the best for our fans, for the people that listen to what we had to say and to do. So, as far as like a position of being in charge, I was already there. I don't think that I wasn't. I think anybody would agree with that, too, that was involved in radio. I think it's more just along the lines of... just overall knowledge of what our people like and what we can get out of what we do. And, I guess that kind of sums that up.
Gotcha. Okay, now, in the week since you've left Psychopathic, since you announced that, you had also been making several plugs and hype messages regarding something you were calling Reloaded Radio, that was slated for 2013. What exactly is Reloaded Radio like, and what can we expect to see from this project?
Oh man, this is the best part. This is huge. Reloaded Radio is something. I think something that's going to be beyond special. There's really no way to sum up what it's going to be like, and that's because it's going to be everything that everybody wants it to be. Meaning that, at Psychopathic Radio, the direction that they're heading is more of a controlled, we want you to do this type direction. And I don't agree with that. I think a lot of the things that happen there, is a very controlled situation. And I'm being very, very modern with saying this. But, what Reloaded Radio is basically, being in this business for as long as I've been in it and working with the people I've got to work with and making the connections that I've made, there's extreme uber talent that is not used. And not only is it not used, it's controlled, and there's just no credit due. You know what I mean? There's no credit given when credit should be, given. And basically what Reloaded Radio is it's everything that I've always wanted to do. There was rules, always with W Fuck Off too, of what you could do, what you can say, the boundaries you can cross, this, that, and the other thing. It wasn't as ruled as it is now. with Psychopathic Radio. But, you know, I really want to go back to what it was like with W Fuck Off. But completely different at the same time. Man, I don't even know where to begin in explaining it. Reloaded Radio is like, I'm pulling together the people that I've worked with, met with, and just had the opportunity to see the talent that is just swimming in this big pool of a world that we live in. And, you know, I'm putting together people that don't get the credit they deserve ever. You know, they may get a mention here and an album there, whatever it may be. They might make a gathering pamphlet somehow or whatever it may be. But people who I feel that have extreme talent that, you know, are always kind of, you know, given a project and this is what we want you to do. In this case scenario, Reloaded Radio is like the greatest minds you can think of coming together, and instead of going in a certain direction, they all go in the direction they've always wanted to go, and it becomes pieced together as one whole entity. So, for example, you know, if you come to the table and, you know, I always wanted to wear, you know, something fucking nuts or whatever, and that's a horrible analogy. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. It shouldn't have hit that joint that hard. But, but you know, it's basically pooling minds together instead of everybody trying to come to one goal, everybody having their own goal and then making it come together as one. It's going to be something completely massive. I really can't describe it other than that. It's like I've kind of been pushing it off like this. It's kind of like the Wayne's World of 2013, if you will. We're kind of doing a whole new thing. We're not going to have, it's not going to be anything like Psychopathic Radio. So I think a lot of people are kind of expecting that. It's not. In fact, it's going to be all the good things that you liked about, I can't even include Psychopathic Radio in it because you really have to go back to W Fuck Off days, but all the good things that were great about W Fuck Off is going to be kind of in this, but with all the details that it was missing from before. So basically just great minds, you know, graphic designers that, you know, are always like, hey, you know, I want you to make a graphic for Reloaded Radio, and you know, I want it to look like this, and I want it to have these kind of colors and this, that, and fuck all that. It's Reloaded Radio. Make something. That's it. Do what you want. If it's fucking whack, then it's fucking whack. That's what makes it what it is. See what I'm saying? Like DJ Diorama for The Fix was fucking whack. That whole idea was fucking whack. But it became the shit because it was so simple and basic that everybody just fell in love with it. So it is what it is. You take a creative idea and you run with it, regardless of what you think is going to happen. As long as it's somebody that believes in it, as long as one person that's doing and making it believes in it, then the other people that see it will eventually believe in it too. When I was making Diorama, I sat down with a fucking shoebox. You know, I was told when we did Psychopathic Radio, you know, we had a big meeting before it all lifted off, and, you know, one of the things brought up in the meeting was that we didn't want the shows to be lame. Everybody had to have a cool co-host, this, that, and the other thing. Well, in W Fuck Off, I never had a legit co-host. I had people come on and bullshit with me and whatnot, but I can pretty much run a show on my own. So when I was told we had to have, you know, a co-host for our show, I was kind of like, oh shit, you know, because there's a lot of nights that I just do radio by myself. You know, we do all request hours, you know, this, that, and the other thing. So I sat down and I made Diorama straight up out of a fucking elementary school memory, pulled the shoebox together, put a little DJ guy in there, and, you know, the fans of the show built it to be what it was today. So, you know, it's a great example of what I'm trying to bring back to reality, and that is that, you know, the reason that things become as good as they are, all things, is because somebody originally believed in what they were doing. You know, and where Psychopathic Radio is kind of straying is that, you know, people aren't believing in what they're doing with it, and that's where that's when I had to, you know, take my exit, because you know, I didn't believe in what was going on anymore. You know, the same people that, you know, instilled in me that, you know, everything was about giving to fans and really respecting what your art is and being yourself and doing the things, you know, it was really kind of all sucked out of me. And that's when I decided that, you know, something that I had already in the works, you know, Reloaded Radio is not the spark of me leaving. No. That's been going on for quite some time. I put a lot into it, and it's going to be something Something people don't expect. That's for fucking sure. I keep laughing because there's so many. We're kind of filming some stuff for it right now, and it's coming out pretty massive.
Okay, so do you have a more specific release date for Reloaded Radio? I mean, right now, it's slated for 2013, but I mean, are we talking January in just a couple months? Are we talking, late next year? What are you thinking as far as launch date?
Well, it's kind of hard to put an exact month on it right now. I'd like to say January. I'd like to say the beginning of 2013. My big issue right now is that, like I said, with not having a job right now in the nighttime, and having one for the past 6 years, it's been kind of awesome coming home from my day job and being able to just relax and get thoughts together and whatnot. So, I'd like to slate it for January, but, I'm just going to leave it out there for what it is. I will definitely say it won't come any later than spring, because it is full force, it is in motion, and, I just want to dot all my I's and cross all my T's. I'm not trying to jump into something and fuck it all up. I mean, that's what you get with Psychopathic Radio.
Gotcha.
We jumped into that project way too quick. Nobody took time to talk to anybody, and we are where we are. So.
Okay. Well, Fillin, I think that may be all the questions I've got for you right now. Is there anything else you'd like to say to all your fans listening to this interview now?
Well, as you know, there are no fans. It's only fams with an M. The fans out there, man, everybody listening right now, I want to say thank you, for real. Like I said at the beginning of this interview, 6 years is a quarter of my life, and it's the most hardest 6 years of my life that I've ever worked. And people have, like I said, tried to imitate what we did at W Fuck Off, Blog Talk Radios, and stuff like that. You motherfuckers realize how hard it is to do what we do. And then it's not just easy. It takes talent, it takes skill, and it's taken many years to get where I'm at as myself, and with the fans, with everybody tuned into the shows and with Psychopathic Radio. And all I can say is I really appreciate everybody that's been down since W Fuck Off. I mean that shit was huge. It was monumental. It moved the underground like nobody's business, and I can't thank enough for all the people that have stayed with me and believed in all the shit that that I've been doing over the years. I've had tons of fun, man. I met really cool people. Ian, I met you through the radio. It was always it always brought a smile to my face going to gatherings and seeing the random ninjas in the crowd wearing W Fuck Off T-shirts. That's something real special to me. You know what I mean? And I just, man, I was glad to be a part of it. And, like I said, I can't sit and bash on Psychopathic Records. I don't believe in the direction that they're going anymore. And, you'll see it in the future. I feel like if they move forward with the plan that they have with their new deal with Psychopathic Radio, that, eventually you'll see what's going on. You'll see why I'm making the decision I had to make, and that is that, that we're starting up Reloaded Radio, man, and it's going to be everything that I know everybody's been begging for. I read the tweets, I read the Facebook, I don't ignore the shit. I know what's going on, and I know you see it too. I know you're not out there just gullible, and all I can really say is that I'm indebted to you guys, and as much as you have believed and watched the shows and been stayed tuned in with all the shows that I've been on and everything else, that I'm not going to let you down. I'm going to continue doing what I do and what I think is best. And, with Psychopathic or not, hey, man, it just is what it is. I love Juggalos, always will. And, it's not going to change anything other than I might not whoop whoop as much. I don't know, you know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like that's like a stab at somebody, but it's not. You know what I mean? It is what it is. People can come and say what they want, but I mean, as far as radio goes, I dare anyone to step to me, I'll fuck you up.
Okay, and last thing that I just want to make sure I cover all the bases is for anybody who's interested in staying up to date with what you're doing and Reloaded Radio in general. What are the best ways to stay up to date with what's going on with DJ Fillin?
Oh, man. Well, you know, there's tons of ways. The great thing about Reloaded Radio, and if I could still continue this a little bit, is that it's not all about me. I don't want it to be all about me. I've never been about that. You know, the great thing about Reloaded Radio is that, you know, there's going to be tons of people involved in it. But the ways to stay up on finding out when it's going to be coming out and whatnot is obviously hit me on my Twitter and Shoot the Twit. And then on Facebook too. I'm on both of those for the most part, almost every other day and shit. And try to stay updated with everybody, see what they're doing. You know, I comment on people's shit. I'm a real ass. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't. A lot of people have lost concept of that shit. I know that a lot of people are sitting out there jobless. You know what I mean? Unemployed, nothing to do, and that's why we do what we do with the radio. You know, we try to give you something that, you know, even if you don't stay up late at night, it's archived the next day, this, that, and the other thing. You know, I want to continue doing that for the people that are out there with nothing because, you know, I was at that point in time in my life. So, you know, I know how important it is to people to have what we do. And, you know, I'm gonna continue to do that. And the easiest way to get a hold of me, you know, is on the Twitter and Facebook and whatnot. But like I said, once it actually lifts off the ground, it's going to be everybody, man. There's going to be a lot of people that I feel like, you know, kids are going to be like, holy shit, you know what I mean? Like, why would they do this but not this, you know? But I'm telling you, it's going to be a massive thing. I got a lot of people backing behind it and a lot of people believing in it because they know that I'm no fucking joke. You know, I came to play. I didn't come to lose.
Okay. Well, Fillin, again, thank you for taking the time to do this interview. And Juggalos, Juggalettes, this has been DJ Fillin and Big Ian. We're out.
Damn. Yeah.